Hi everyone, today we are going to be finishing our lecture topic, Benefits of Play, Part 2. In this lecture we will be discussing play and the disposition to learn, play and academic development, play and social-emotional development, play and self-regulatory development, where play benefits derive from, and finally we'll cover aspects of play that you should be wary of. Right, hi everyone. So our first topic of the day is going to be play and the disposition to learn. So I want you to think about what it means to play and what it means to learn. Based on our previous lectures, we should all have a solid understanding of the meaning of play in the sense that play is non-literal. Play evokes feelings of joy and imagination. Play is freedom of choice and an activity where children are actively engaged. So how do play and learning go together? Play is a way to create a disposition of learning for children. Play provides opportunities for children to build skills and for them to grow developmentally. So with that, we can think about how play cultivates learning. Through play, children are the initiators of their ideas and their interests, and because of this, child-initiated play, it leads to motivation and mastery to learn. So I want you to imagine a young toddler every day who imitates their caregiver, their parent, in a game of peekaboo once they've been shown how to play this game of peekaboo. And let's imagine how the adult eagerly plays along. So the child is showing excitement to join in each time, and so does the caregiver. And this simple game of peekaboo could very well lead to the child's motivation to socially engage and feel confident in their abilities to perform, as well as over time increase their mastery of skill building in areas such as hand-eye coordination, facial recognition, and even memory. And this is just a simple game of peekaboo. And thinking about that, we can also think about how children need to build skills to be successful, point 2, in a global economy. And that simple game of peekaboo could very well be that connection and that stepping stone to building bigger skills that are going to benefit this child later on in life. So the 6 C's shown here are just some of the tools that children might need in order to be successful players and to learn through play in an academic setting, as well as be a successful adult. So first, we have communication. And this is being able to speak and listen to others, and this connects to reading and writing. Next, we have content. So this is having an understanding and knowledge of the world around us and being able to apply said knowledge in a variety of different settings. So you're going to be applying knowledge about play and development in your project ideas. So you have content, you have knowledge and understanding of play, and you have knowledge and understanding of development. And you're going to be putting those together, and you're going to be using critical thinking, and you're going to be using creative innovation. So critical thinking, you're going to work to solve problems and use information to form ideas about the world. So what are your ideas about play and development? And then in creative innovation, you're going to be thinking about the world in various ways. So each of you are going to come up with your own project and describe what play and development looks like for you and figure out new discoveries. And even though maybe each of you chooses the same project idea, the way that that project is going to unfold is going to look different for each of you because you're creative thinkers and you have creative innovation and critical thinking skills in order to determine, okay, this is what these ideas look like for me in this project. And then last, we have collaboration, so the ability to work with others. Now, we're not doing any group projects, but this would look like a group project in a sense, or children playing together and working collaboratively. So they're making connections and being able to share ideas in a group setting, as well as regulate their own emotions, which we're going to talk about in a bit. And then we also have, oops, I almost forgot, one more C, confidence. We need confidence in order to be persistent and try out new ideas and engage in difficult tasks and have a clear sense of ourself and our self-motivation. And we're also going to be talking about confidence a little bit later as well. So I just want you to brainstorm just for your own, food for thought. Think about other words that start with the letter C that could be supportive to children's play and learning, and utilize those when you're thinking about play and development. Okay, so now let's jump into play and academic development. It's a common thought and question of most people. I got this question a lot when I worked in preschool and with infants and toddlers. And parents would ask me, how is play going to help them learn? And how does play support their academic success? Are they going to be ready to write and to read and to do math when they're just playing? And yes, the answer is yes. In so many ways does play support academic development. So for starters, let's think about physical fitness. Physical fitness is linked to higher scores on academic achievement tests. And I want you to think about last week how we talked about physical development and cognitive development. So children who are engaged in moving their bodies, such as in activities like running, jumping, during a hide and seek game. Remember we talked about hide and seek a lot. They're working on developing skills like coordination and balance. And in order to effectively coordinate movements in the body and balance, children need to have attention and focus on what they're doing. And now I want you to think about academic testing. What do children need for academic testing? Give a pause there. Yeah, that's right. They need skills in order to pay attention and to focus, same as they're doing during physical fitness. And physical play doesn't just have to be running on the play yard. It can be done through other play activities too. So for example, children need to move their arms up and down when they're getting dressed in the morning or getting dressed during dramatic play. So this is a form of play where children are getting dressed and they have to lift up their arms. They might have to Velcro or button something. They also might need to move their arms up and down when they're scooping water in a sensory bin or digging in the sandbox. Children also engage in physical movement of their smaller muscles too, not just their bigger body movements like their arms and legs. So a smaller movement that a child might engage in is holding a paintbrush to paint. And this in turn leads children to develop the ability to have fine motor skills for future writing. Children not only succeed through physical play, but simply playing during the preschool years has been linked to language and reading readiness. So remember we talked about studies last week and how block play is connected to language development, and having children start block play earlier on leads to earlier language. So think about it. A child who may be practicing identifying colors, shapes, counting, taking turns, and more, this requires them to communicate. And as we know, communication is a part of language development. So all those colors and those shapes that I just were mentioning, red and blue, 1, 2, 3, could be through song, could be through block building. This also serves as a dual purpose in math engagement. So children are naturally engaging in math activities. And who knew that block play could be so beneficial for various areas of development and lead to further learning and academic success. We're going to talk about block play a lot because blocks are connected to so much learning. And children have been found to play in 3 different categories for math activities. And it doesn't just have to be with blocks. Just in general, during play, math activities come about in 3 different ways. So pattern and shape. So this could be grouping. And I'm going to use blocks again for an example because it helps to solidify the idea and importance of play and learning. So again, like I said, pattern and shape. So it could be grouping all the blue blocks together or pointing out a circle or a square magnet tile. The magnitude So this is identifying big or small. So maybe we have a group of animals and we're identifying the big animal and the small animal. Kids might say that's the mama or dada, and that's the baby. The small one's the baby. And then enumeration. So this is the order in which a child states an object one by one. And this could also be known as one-to-one correspondence. So I'm saying one and pointing at the blue bear. I'm saying two and pointing at the green bear. I might have them lined up, or I have them grouped together, or we're counting apples at the snack table. So I'm practicing mathematics all the time. And did you know that children's free play, messed that one up, free play contains numeracy elements 46% of the time? That's crazy. That's almost half of the time that children are engaging in numeracy elements. And I want you to check out this article below just to see how teachers can do more in supporting children's understanding of early mathematics concepts, such as spatial relationships and geometry. So go ahead and take a peek at that and browse around just to get ideas, because you might need more ideas on mathematics and how do I support children's development in early on math concepts. All right, so now we're going to be talking about play and social emotional development. So we've already kind of talked about this, and a lot of concepts that we discuss, we're going to revisit because they're important in a variety of different contexts. And as we know from our first slide, context is important and content is important. So if we have an understanding of our content, we're able to use it in a variety of different contexts. So, like I said, social emotional development. Play naturally leads to interactions with others, and we know that interactions are a part of social emotional development. And through play, children not only develop relationships with others and interact with others, but they learn to understand the rules of social interaction. When is it my turn to go down the slide? What is my role while playing house? These are things that children would not know unless they were involved in play. And children also learn how to engage in social problem-solving skills. So for example, if it's my turn to go down the slide and then someone jumps in front of me, what should I do in this situation? How do I solve this problem? The problem I'm faced with is that it was my turn and somebody went ahead of me. But I need to find a solution in order to be able to go down the slide and take my turn. So we're going to think back to those 6 C's of success that children need. If a child could be a critical thinker and collaborate in this situation where a problem is at hand, they could come up with a system of turn taking and communicate their needs with the other peer. I'm so frustrated that you went down the slide when it was my turn. I was up on the steps first. You have to wait behind me. And being able to solve this problem also helps children to regulate their emotions. So they were able to express how they were feeling with someone else in that moment. And children may use words to resolve conflicts, or they might need support from a trusted adult in order to successfully play. So teacher, adult, mom or dad, whoever it is, I need help, my turn, it was my turn to go. And then they can talk about the adult. They could express their feelings with the adult. The adult could help them to express their feelings to their peer and work to solve that problem together. And everyone then can have a better understanding of the rules of play through that social interaction when solving a problem. So not only does being able to problem solve help children regulate their emotions, but your text also gives examples of how play might be a way for children to relieve anxiety and stress. And also children who are facing trauma can use play as an outlet for emotional expression. So in your text, it describes a boy who lost their father and how through play this child was reenacting this traumatic experience, but being able to develop an understanding of it and heal and come to almost an acceptance of what was going on in their life through play. They were able to use animal lions to face what's really going on and that stress and that trauma. And this can be a big anxiety relief moment for this child in order to understand what's going on in the real world in a non-literal way through play. And it provides children with an escape from the real world and being able to be in their own element of fantasy, but also connect what's happening in their play. And on kind of a different note, I know that was a little bit, it's hard to think about trauma and stress and anxiety for children and seeing that in play. But play is also a beautiful moment where children, again, are interacting with others and building those social skills and developing a way to handle big emotions. And I want you to check out this video. It's so sweet. It made me laugh. And that's why it's even more funny that it made me laugh. But the article and the videos here talk about a study done with rats and play. And this research study shares one element of laughter in rats when tickling happens. And laughter is just one of the many behavioral responses that we might see during play with children. And this is also a form of expression of joy and happiness. And laughter has been shown to be a way to relieve stress and build connections with others. So if children are laughing during play, they're able to relieve stress and build connections with others all at the same time. Okay, so in extension to social emotional development, we're going to be talking about play and self-regulatory development. So when children play with others, it helps them to encode and regulate emotional states. So I want you to watch the video below and see how play, through rough and tumble play, is supportive of children's understanding of their own bodies, as well as learning about others and their bodies. And when children are able to self-regulate, they're more likely to engage in conflict resolution with others and express their feelings. So in the video, you can see how one child, they yell stop. And they're telling everybody that they're hurt. And the adult comes in and responds and lets everyone know, okay, what do we do when we need to stop? And someone says stop. And they say stop. And everybody freezes. And they move away from the child who is hurt, and they're checking on the peer and seeing what they need. And in this moment, children are able to, the child's able to regulate their emotions by saying stop. But not only are children better able to regulate their emotions, they're able to adapt and share ideas, be responsive and respectful to others, which, as we talked about earlier in collaboration and creative innovation, they're both vital skills for future success. So children, through play with others, learn about the subordinate desires to social rules. And in the video, you can see that at the beginning, and which leads up to the child saying stop when they were hurt. The adult makes a point before they begin their play to review the importance of saying stop and what that means. And a child gives an example and says, that means that we might need to go on the climber or take a break. So they talk about what that social rule is and their desire to stop and what that means, as well as the adult points out that they need to take off their glasses before they get started in order to keep them safe. And another way that children can practice self-regulatory development during play is through dramatic play. And dramatic play helps children to delay gratification, prioritize their goals and actions, and also consider the perspectives and needs of other people. Okay, so now let's talk about play benefits and where they derive from. So we've already discussed all our areas of play and development. So let's look at how play benefits derive. Play is derived from play itself. So thinking about various materials that children might use, how they might use them, and also the time that children are provided to play with, or maybe even thinking about the environment of the play space itself. And play also derives from people. So this can be parents, this can be teachers, this can be peers, the people who are playing. Parents can provide children with playfulness in their daily interactions, like a game of peekaboo. They can create an aspect of sensitivity and attunement to what their children need during play, such as helping their baby reach for a block. And then later on, we see the same helpfulness in childhood when their child is counting blocks and the parent can use appropriate discipline in that moment. So if their child is throwing the block, what can we teach the child in this moment about what the blocks are used for? How do we use the blocks? Examples of how we could stack or how we could roll the blocks. And then if we do need to throw, where could we go? What materials could we use? And then also teachers. They can be players while children are playing. And they can support children's learning during play through scaffolding. So such as when a child is trying to dress up a baby doll or communicate with a peer in the sandbox about the shovel they want to use. How do I help that child dress that baby doll so they're able to do it on their own? Or what tools and words do I provide to that child to be able to tell their friend, I want to use this shovel? Teachers can also provide children with tools they need to play with their peers by observing first and then coming in when children need it. We could sit with the child and talk about what they might need. We could use sign language. We could use pictures. There's a variety of different ways that we could show children modeling. And peers also provide children with play partners. We talked about social emotional engagement and how peers can be someone that helps children to understand the social world of play. They can engage in constructive and dramatic play with them. They could play tag or play house. They could build an animal hospital with social connections that they have with their peers. Okay, so last but not least, just a few things to keep in mind and be wary of when thinking about play. First, we have pay-to-play opportunities. Examples of this might be extracurricular activities or things you can go pay to be a part of, such as going to an amusement park. While activities like this can be fun and enjoyable for children, they unfortunately don't allow for unstructured and free choice play. Same with excessive direct instruction. Remember, play needs to be child-led and allow them the freedom of choice. And when we are leading, dictating the rules, and producing ideas too much to where children do not have a say in play itself, it can be very limiting for them. Also be wary of lack of time and space to play. Think about how much time children need to develop their ideas and to get into the flow and the rhythm of play. If we're cutting their time short, they're going to have less opportunities to gain further benefits from play and build their vital skills that they need for learning. And think about how much time it takes to build relationships and how children build relationships through play. If we limit the amount of time for children to play, we decrease the quality of their peer and adult relationships. And this also goes for the space that they have to play in. Children need adequate space to move and explore. So paying attention to the environment and the materials that we put in the environment for children to play with in the space is a way that we can determine the quality of children's play. Do we have developmentally appropriate materials? Do they have enough space to move in? Do they have enough time to play? Next is looking at extensive screen time. Yes, technology-based games can provide good benefits to children, but the overall time children spend engaged in screen time, it does contribute to excess sedentary behaviors, and it leads to less creativity, construction through play, and active engagement. And lastly, we want to be wary of competitive and organized sports. In competitive and organized sports, there is less structure, less open-ended play, and when we provide children with opportunities to play, we want them to have open-endedness, we want them to have freedom, we want them to be able to have the ability to create their own rules, assign their own roles, choose the materials they want, and engage in a dynamic process that is non-limiting and freeing. So that's all I have for you today for Benefits of Play Part 2. So make sure that you check out the project ideas as well as the assignment guidelines video so that you can learn more about your assignment coming up. And I will talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.